Now we've been able to identify property areas where the road is less than 50 meters away. If I use this identifier to, now you can see the road is this tiny line, and this is the 50 meters buffer we created. So we've been able to identify property areas where the road is less than 50 meters away. We've also been able to identify areas where the school is within 1 kilometer. We can't see the school now, and so I'll reorder the school and possibly move it up, and so now you can see the school. So this buffer area is within 1 kilometer within the school region. Let's change the symbology of the school buffer we made with 1 kilometer distance, and so we can properly see the adjustment, the color symbology showing properly well. Let's stick with this, and so this is fine. Here we can see the region where the schools is within 1 kilometer to the property of the client's preference. Because of the overlapping areas, we're yet to complete the requirements for our analysis. What we want to do now is to show the areas where both of the criteria are satisfied, where the road buffer within 50 meters and the school buffer within 1 kilometer distance area is met. And so we will be using the intersection tool from the QGIS processing tools. And so we go to the processing and click on toolbox, and now we'll be using the vector overlay toolbox. So expand it and look for intersection and double click it. And once you're done double clicking, it should bring the intersection dialog window. And now we need to use the two buffer layers we created for roads as well for school as our input layer and our overlay layer. And so choose the school's buffer 1 kilometer dissolve as your input layer, and select the road's buffer 50 meters dissolve as your overlay layer. And so we can create a name for the layer by using these 3 dots. Click on these 3 dots, save to the geo package, which is the vector analysis. Click on it, go to save, and you can now give it an output name. You can call it, say, road underscore code underscore buffers intersect. Once this is done, you can now click on OK and run the operation. And so once it's done running, it creates an entirely new layer for our intersection on our layers panel here. Here's it. And so we can click on close. You can close the processing toolbox as well. Now you notice a new image has been created. This image below is showing the areas where both the distance criteria are met. And so we may need to change the symbology so that we can properly see it well. We can change it to possibly, let's say, red. And so you have it. This region red is where the both distances overlap for the roads buffer 50 meters and within the school 1 kilometer buffers. And now we have an overlapping section of what we actually want. Right click on it, click on rename, and you can call it road underscore school buffer underscore intersect. And so once you have this, you can click outside the layers panel and you can save it, export it, save as feature, just like we've been doing before. Go to your vector analysis geo package, click on it, save, give it a name, exactly what you have on your layers panel, road school underscore intersect. And so once you have this, you can click on OK. Of course, the coordinate reference system is unique. This is what we want, and so you can click on OK. You can see, of course, it's changed to a different color. And so once you check the road, the school buffer, and all of that, once you try to uncheck, you see that we've been able to meet a criteria for the two options. Let me turn on the road and the buffer for the roads. Now you can see that we've been able to meet two criteria here, where the roads is 50 meters within the property, and also where the property buildings is within a distance of 1 kilometer to the school. Here's the school. You can change the color so you can see properly. Let's change to red, and so change it to red, or let's say blue, and so we can see it properly here. Now you can notice that this is a school. This is our road buffers and the intersect of what we initially had. This region here showing pink is the region where we have fulfilled the both criteria for the roads as well as for the schools. I can decide to remove this one since it's similar to this, it just has different symbology, and so I can just click on remove. And so now we may decide to remove the two buffer layers and only keep the one that shows where the overlap. And so let's remove the schools. We can see only layer where they overlap. Let's also remove this one. Now we have it here. This is the region of interest where they overlap. If I turn on the land use, the next thing we want to do is to extract the buildings here within these areas, because that's our interest. And so to do that, from your processing toolbox, go to the vector selection, expand it, and click on extract by location. Double click it. It opens up an extract by location dialog window, and so you can select buildings as the extract feature, because that's actually what we want to extract, where the features geometry predicate intersect. So this has to be checked, and we want to compare it to the features that we just made to overlap. The road and the school intersect. As you have it here is fine. We want to create a new layer, and so using this tree dot, save to GeoPackage, click on the vector analysis GeoPackage, save. We can call it well-defined houses, and so once you're done, click on OK and run. If you are having this problem, that's what you can do. Close this, go to your settings, click on options, and once you have your options open, click on the processing, expand the general, then come here, double click on it, use this drop down arrow and ignore features with invalid geometry. Click on it, and once that is done, you can click outside here and click on OK. The next thing we want to do is to run the analysis again. And so to run the analysis again, click on the vector selection, double click, extract by location, and so we change this to buildings as I extract feature from, where the features geometry predicate has to be intersect. And so we want to compare it with a road building intersect, and let's create a layer, save to GeoPackage, click on the vector analysis GeoPackage, click on save, and once you click on save, you can call it well_defined_roads, and once this is done, you can click on OK and run. And so I don't expect us to have that error in red that we saw initially, and so even if we have it, since we've changed the option, it will still run, and so it has already extracted it here. And so click on close, and now close the processing toolbox. And now once it's done, you notice that the building have been extracted within this region, and so we can change the symbology so that we can see some of the changes, because the color is actually not well represented there, and so we want to change the symbology, apply, and so we may not see it very well. Let's zoom to layer. When I uncheck this building, we're able to see some of the buildings here in green. We may have to change the color again, so let's give it red, and let's change this other color to maybe something like a lighter blue. And so you can click on close, Here's an extracted building that meets the criteria. Within the roads are 50 meters and within schools that are 1 kilometers of a driving distance. You can use the zoom into option, left click and drag, and now you can see buildings within this selection criteria. If I turn on the other buildings, you'd see that it's actually representing the same color, and so we have to uncheck this so that we can see the effect of our work we just finished doing. And so you can right click and rename the layer and call it well defined buildings. You can use your pan tool to move around, and you can zoom out by clicking inside the map canvas to any region of interest you want to zoom out. Now we have buildings extracted within the areas that have not met our criteria. Now you can see that we have a layer which shows all the buildings that are within 1 kilometer of a school and that are within 50 meters of a road. The next video will help us understand how to reduce that selection to only show buildings which are within 500 meters of a restaurant.